Incredible greetings, good people. How are you guys doing? All right, let's go over here and let's change the audience. I forget where did I already send this to the groups? I did. So, stay. Let's go ahead and just share this one. All right. Ooh, let's do that. Copy, share. Right, give me a second, everyone. I'm going to just share this out real quick. All right. That's all shared out. Let me go here, share. And then let's go in the group. Okay, I thought I just saw it. Why nobody reported this spam in the group? We have to stick together to keep the group free of spam. All right. Okay. Alrighty. There we go. Okay, so hello everyone. Incredible evening. If you guys could go ahead and let me know who's watching. So drop a hey, how you doing? A hello. Let me know who's watching. Let me know if you struggle, and that's how I meant to write it. If to let me know not what are your struggles, but do you struggle with placement and sizing when it comes to your shirt designs? Do you struggle with that? So that's what we are going to go over today. I am Shakia, the professor of HSINK365. We are the home of the Honesty Speaking brand of products, as well as the home of Sewholics Anonymous, where I teach you how to design and use Sewlight Studio, and 365 Creative Academy, where I help you to unlock your creativity in a wide variety of classes. So I had to make a quick shirt for someone who, and it's my audio now is going to sound very distant because I forgot to set up my other microphone that is closer to where I'm at. So I might sound a little distant. Hold on. Whoa. Okay. Don't need to get muted. Let's see. I want to just test something real quick. All right. So, like I said, I had this last one, so I figured I'd come on because I'm doing a shirt. That way I can talk about sizing and placement of shirts. Also, because I guess you can say I kind of sort of messed up, right? Let me tilt y'all down some. My original intentions was to put this on a V-neck, a ladies cut V-neck shirt. When I was sizing it, I was on the wrong page, on the wrong template or like setup page in Select Studio, and I had the unisex one open instead of the one for the ladies cut. So it is too big because the cut on this is different. So I, often hear people ask about like, oh, what's the perfect size? And it really does depend on your design. It also depends on what you are putting it on. Because for a unisex shirt, of course, it is made wider. A ladies cut shirt is going to be more tapered. So if I put this like this, I know this is black, but I'm going to just put my hand here. So this is the edge of the ladies cut shirt. And then here is where the unisex is. So there is about 3 fingers of extra material on the unisex compared to the ladies cut on both sides, right? So if you were to create or measure a design, and let's say like I did 10 and a half on this particular shirt, it's going to end up being inside the, like, especially, well, depends on if they are well endowed or not. When the design is on there, it can be to where it's more into the armpits because this is short. Like you have more material here. So you really have to think about first what substrate or what type of shirt you are putting the design on. If you are going to do a mix of shirts like ladies cut or youth and unisex and things like that, if you don't want to have to do a bunch of different cuts and trying to keep up with those, okay, well, does this go with this? Like that just makes the process of pressing it a whole lot longer. You have to then size based off of, like, not say the smallest item, but like, because with kid shirts, I don't really mind with those. Like they go like along, like over the edge. But for adult shirts, I try to make sure that I have, sometimes I'll do like 2 or 3 different variations. And like, it'll be like one size. I'm going to do everything from youth to adult medium or to an adult ladies large or whatever. Like I say all that to say there is no set size. You really have to think about what it is that you're pressing to. The only time that you can really customize it is if you only have one shirt that you're doing. And then you can customize it for that shirt. But if you're doing a bunch of different shirts, you have to really think about, what can you do to where it's less stress on you, especially if you're doing something like screen print transfers. Unless you want to pay setup fees for each different size, you want to figure out what's going to be the best size that's going to accommodate the majority of the shirts where it looks good on the majority of them. All right. The other thing, I find that so many people try to design to take up darn near the full front of the shirt. All right, by show of hands, let's show of hands, who designs that way? When you're picking out designs or you're arranging certain things, are you looking to purchase designs or either create designs where you're taking up like a good amount of the shirt top to bottom? Are you looking, you're like, oh, it's plain and you want to add some sort of background to extend the length? Who all does that when they are designing or selecting a design like that you're going to purchase? You struggle with placement, okay? Hey, hey, just say. So someone says they don't really worry about the length, but they definitely worry about the width. Okay, so if you are someone that is concerned about the width, is it that you always want it to go, like you want it to be maximized across the front? Is it that you, okay, so if we look at like my shirt right now, hold on, let me see me kind of move this like this. Ooh, I got my eyebrows done. So this is set up to where I want it to be read straight on from the front. It's a little bit like on the side here, but for the most part, it can be read straight from the front. Although like this, because of the curve, you can't really read it. So you have to think about that as well. How do you want it to be read when someone is looking at it? Straight on, or do you not mind if it goes like off to the side? Some people go and they're trying to take up all of this, but then you're going to make it too big to where you're putting it in the armpits. For me, what I typically try to do is basically the center of your shoulder and then come down. And that's normally where my designs are set to. Every shirt, that width to go from center of shoulder to center of shoulder. And you guys didn't see that. So I did this whole thing where I went from here, and that's pretty much where this is. So every shirt is going to be different as far as what that distance is, which is why it's a good thing to have a set brand of shirts that you use for your company and what you make shirts with and what you make orders with. That way it's consistent and you're not going back and forth. But if you are someone that's like, you're just looking for the least expensive shirt, you're using Gildan Today, Fruit of the Loom, Next Level, Bella Canva, then you might go to Team 365, or let me use, what's the other one that I don't know, it's a bunch of different shirts. So if you're constantly switching shirts, or you're getting shirts from like your sub shirt, you're getting, one day you had Cricket, the next day you had the Blank Spot, then you're using Vapor, or you're using jerseys, or you're using like, so if you're constantly switching, it's going to be very hard to know and be consistent in how you size. So part of being consistent with placement and sizing is, try a bunch of different ones, but settle on a few shirts that like these are your go-to shirts. So you'll know automatically, okay, for their, if I'm doing just a small to maximize the width to the shoulders, it's this size. If I'm doing a large, it's this size. Like, so you have to set, like you have to get shirts that you can be consistent with your sizing, and it becomes a no-brainer. But if it's always, well, I don't really know what shirt, and oh, I did this, but it's too big, it looks too small. That's because you don't like. When I first started doing them, I ordered I was trying out Gildan Through the Loom. I did the same thing with the Next Level and the Bella Canvas one, to where I ordered a shirt in every size from youth, small, all the way up to adult. Like if they had 3X, 4X, or 5X. And I did that in the youth sizes and the unisex sizes. I also did it in the ladies cut sizes as well, so that I can create my guide. I did all the measurements, and I have my guides that I use based off of whichever shirt I'm going to put it on. But when I did this one, I made a mistake and selected the wrong one, and I ended up making this, I sized this to the unisex size versus the ladies cut size. So that's why this is going to be a little bit off, but I wanted to put it on the V-neck, ladies cut V-neck. But see, if I put this on here, there's like 2.5, almost 3, like on the side. So that literally, what you wouldn't see it from the front, it would wrap around. But on the unisex, which is what I'm going to have to use, it's going to be a good placement. For a lot of people, they'll look at their shirt when it's flat and they'll think, man, that's a lot of space. But you have to remember that it's not going to be flat on someone's body. This part here, their body is going to fill it in. So this is actually going to be the sides. Okay? So don't let it flat, like let that kind of like make you second guess the size or feel like, oh, like don't determine your size based off of it flat. If anything, and you want to kind of visualize it, take your shirt, go to that center, fold that over, and then you're able to see how much extra space you may potentially have. But sizing and looking at it straight on like this, especially if you are a newbie, it's going to always make you feel like you have sized it too small. You cannot go off. When you are measuring, do not measure the entire length of the shirt because this is flat. The body still has to go in here. So this part will be spread out. So this is the front of your shirt. Make sense? I dropped my print. I got to go get it. All right, so someone says, I don't like them for them to like a sticker because they're too small. Well, technically, there is no such thing as too small. There are shirts that I have purchased in store where the artwork is meant to be small. I was looking at there's it's something with kids. I forget what it is, and she has this small emblem at the top and center of her of her shirt. It doesn't mean if that's the way the design is. If it's meant to be small, it's meant to be small. That doesn't mean that it looks like a sticker. My issue is when the image is made to be smaller on an XXL, how far down is it supposed to be and the width? So again, the width, I cannot tell you what the width is going to be for your 2X or 5X shirt because every shirt is different. Then you also have to think about, well, what method are you using to do this? Are you even equipped to do it? So if you're doing sublimation, you have a small format limit. You can have the line and stuff in it. But if you are just cutting vinyl, how much vinyl do you have? Did you only buy a 12 by 12 square of HTV? Then the max that you're going to be able to do, unless you want to. So like say like a design like this, if I wanted it to be bigger, I could maybe do like the mommy leg, like up until the E, because right here it's connected. So I wouldn't be able to split it here. I would have to make it big enough, and then hopefully I can make it to where I could take like this part of it and press that, and then have the C and then center to make it a little bit bigger. If I only had a 12 by 12 piece and I needed to make it like the design itself needed to be 13 or 14 or 15 inches, you're then going to have to split that up, but then you have to be very careful with how you line it up. It becomes more steps. And my rule is you can't charge your customer more because, hey, they need a large shirt, but you have smaller equipment. If your equipment is ideal for kids up until maybe like a large, extra large, stick with that. And don't be afraid to say, hey, we just don't have the equipment, or, we don't do shirts over 2X. That is perfectly fine to say, guys, that you are not capable of doing something, because once you go and you take on jobs where you are not equipped to actually handle them, you're going to feel like, man, I didn't get paid enough for this. I had to go and I had to split it. Then I'm like second guessing myself to see if it's lined up correctly. This was supposed to take 5 minutes. Now I've been here 30 minutes. Oh, I need to charge more for 5X shirts. No, you need to either save up and get the proper equipment, or you can outsource it to someone who can print that out for you or cut that out for you in the proper size, and you're going to press it in 15 seconds. All right. So, that's like, so again, you have to know like your size of your shirt and then determine if your equipment can actually do that size. As far as how far it comes down, that depends on the size. So something like this, it is what I call like, this is like a quarter like design. So it's not going to take up half the shirt. It's not going to take up the full shirt. It's going to take up the top quarter of the shirt. If you put it up too high, right? It's not a lot of length to this. So let me once again kind of turn this around this way, right? So this is something where it's a little bit more length. So if I go up higher, it'll still come down a good amount, right? Well, if it's only a quarter design, if you go to where, okay, let's say we're going to go 3 or 4 fingers down, right? So we put it here. That design is going to stop. Well, let's see how accurate I was with that guesstimation. All right, so I'm going to go here. Oh, I am good. I'm telling y'all, I am great at what I do, honey. Yes. Okay. I was like spot on where this is going to end at. I'm telling y'all, I am the best person to learn from. Your girl knows her stuff. So if I were to follow that traditional rule of 3 to 4 fingers down or 3 to 4 inches, and I put this here and I go there, you have this where it's sitting on the top of someone's chest. And if they are flat chested, again, it's sitting on the top versus sitting center mass. So I don't necessarily go off of the 3 to 4 finger or 3 to 4 inch rule unless it's a really long design and I know that it's going to come down some more because it's not going to look like it's just sitting on the center of the chest. So what I do is I go by your armpits. Your armpits are usually the center, like it indicates the center on unisex shirts. It indicates the center mass, center of chest. So when I'm lining this up, I'm going to line the center part of my design up with the center of the chest so that this sits about here. So big difference in this sitting up here and sitting on top of your chest versus bringing it down and it's going to sit about here. Make sense? You see the difference in that? How visually that's going to look like looking at it from the front here versus it being right here and making a rainbow over my boobs. Make sense? Yeah, it can look weird, but what you can do, like if you feel like those things look weird to you and you're not used to seeing them that way, this is like blocking me in. I was getting my whiteboard put up. Go into a store. How many of you guys go into a store, Walmart, Target, the mall, where it might make you feel kind of weird doing it, but why not learn from those who are already doing it? So when I first started doing shirts, I had a ruler. I started taking my ruler with me, but like if I was like in Walmart, Target, I'm going to go to the school supply section and I'm going to go get one of their rulers. And I would have shirts and I would, they have like the little stands and stuff, where shirts and stuff are folded. I'm going to get different ones. And I used to take my ruler, put it up, put it next to it. I'm measuring, like I'm looking at the different sizes. That's when I realized that it doesn't matter if it's a small or if it's an extra large. The size of that design is the exact same size. Major companies are not making these designs fit. Like they're not making them to where they're made to fit. Okay, this is this size for small, this size for medium, this size for large. No, they're not doing that. On a smaller shirt, it's going to take up more real estate. On a larger shirt, it's going to take up less real estate. So it is going to appear bigger or smaller, but it is really the same size design. So I would have my phone, I measure it, or I put the ruler down, I'm taking pictures of it. That way, when I go home, I'm looking through my pictures, I'm taking notes. If you guys aren't keeping good notes and you aren't doing things like this, to me, that's a sign of you not being serious. Like that's how serious I was about getting my shirts correct. I'm not just going to rely on asking a question in a group because they don't know exactly what size design you're using, and your designs are not going to be the same unless you are creating a brand and you have, like Nike, they can go and they'll know, okay, this is the Nike symbol or our words, and it's going to be this no matter what. But when you have all these different customized designs and every week is something different, you have to know how to measure it. And the only way to know like what might look good, what might not, when you're in the store, if it looks small to you, take a picture of that so that you know this is not what's appealing to me. So I want to make sure I kind of like don't do mine like that. The ones that you do like how they look, whether it's a quarter design, a half design, or a full shirt, take pictures of it. Keep notes on those things, and that's going to help you determine how to do your shirts. Then going back to staying consistent with the shirt that you use. So once you're consistent with the shirt that you use and you have from small all the way up to 2X, 3X, or whatever, and you're doing your measurements, you're going to be able to create a grid for yourself. This is something that I learned back in my days of doing screen print. So when you're setting up their artwork so that they know exactly, because you have to burn the screen. So when you're doing it, you want your, like if it's like a left chest, right chest, like you want it in the position that it needs to be in. So that way, once you put it on your screen to burn it, when you bring it down, it's going to be in that area. So I'm a little bit different in how I teach because of all the experience that I have. Most people, they'll teach about shirts. They've only done sublimation. They've only done vinyl. I've dealt with screen print, and because of how you have to set up screen print, it helped me with everything else. So I went in, and with all these different shirt sizes, I have my grid set up. With screen printing, what they do is they set their design up based off of the platen that they're using. So if it's a wide, if it's like whatever size platen, that's how their design is set up, because no matter what shirt you use, when you put it on that platen and it's going to give you the same amount of surface space. So that's where I got my techniques from. But what my recommendation to you is, once you decide on your shirt, get a lot of the sizes, measure it. You're going to create yourself a grid of those. And when you're doing your designs, whether you want it to be the width or the length of it, you're going to, have it. You can have it locked in the background, and then you're going to take your design, and then you're going to pull out your nodes to scale it to that size. Make sense? All right. Let me go ahead and mask this. What the heck did I do with the masking? Wait, is this the right one or is this one? I hope this is the right one. I can't really tell. Hopefully, yeah, this is the right one. I don't like PU, but I'm trying to get rid of it. So this is Caesar Color Print PU. This was done with my Rolling BN20. Like, it lifts up. So I have to make sure that these parts, you know what? I want to do it the other way. That they don't roll, and like when this, like the static makes it to where it's going to pick it up and then it's going to fold over. So I have to be very, very careful with using this Color Print PU. Which it kind of rolled a little bit on the corner there. All right, you got to give me a second because you have to burnish this on a hard surface. So I have to go over here to my table. Why am I taking the shirt? So that I can actually burnish this and squeegee it down. All right, let me just check before I take this off. I can't really see my computer, so I don't know what questions or comments you guys are posting. So let me come over here real quick. Okay, so nothing there. All right, cool beans. And then over here, I thought I saw a comment or a question. I do that with my shirts. Exactly. You can even do that. Go into your closet. But I mean, if all of your shirts, of course, all of your shirts are going to be the same size. But if you have like a lot of different shirts, like if there's people in your house and you guys wear different sizes, you can do that. But I like going into the store to do that because then you can see it from like all the various sizes. But yes, definitely do that with the shirts that you have gone into the store and you have purchased. Put the shirt aligned with the sleeves. May I ask what's your profit goal per t-shirt? That's kind of a loaded question because it really depends on, you know, your skill level and where you're at and how your business is run. Do you have any overhead? Do you have, you know, what is your business expenses? So profit to the business is different than revenue to me or payment to me. I price so that my business can make a profit. Shakia is not making a profit. HSINK365 is making a profit. And from that profit, HSINK365 is able to pay me as well as take care of all of the bills for HSINK365. So depending on your setup, your profit, you know, that you want to make, it might be different from mine because you don't have a lot of overhead. You have to decide that part for yourself. When I'll say this though, when I first started and I'm just kind of like getting my feet wet, like my magic number was like $5 or $10, right? So I'm like, if I can make $5 per shirt, if I can make $10 per shirt, like I'll add everything up and, you know, a little bit of, you know, a little bit extra, but as long as like I knew that like I personally could make like $5-10 per shirt, that's how I was when I first started. Now that may not be like enough for the work that you're doing. Or for what, no, sorry, not the work that you're doing. Well, for the work that you're doing, but for what your financial needs are. Where is my what's that thing called? My lint brush. I don't use it for sublimation, but I need it for black shirts. So I don't typically have it all the time, and I will lose it, but I need it right now. I need my lint brush, which I know I just had because what was I doing? I was doing something and I needed the lint brush, but I don't use it often. So most times it goes missing because I don't lint brush my sublimation shirts at all. All right, what did I do with my lint brush? I just had that sucker. What was I doing where I needed the lint brush so that I can think about where it might be? What was I just doing with the lint brush? Oh, it might be at the other heat press. Now that I think about it. Okay, let me go see if it's at the other heat press. All right, I don't see it. So, oh, here it is. Ha ha. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, now come on now. I gotta take this off. I'm ashamed for y'all to see how dirty this thing is, but that's only because it was on the floor. It fell on the floor. But this sheet that's on here is dirty, dirty, dirty. My lint brush lasts me a long time because I don't really use it. I've been doing a lot more sublimation lately, and like I said, I don't use a lint brush for sublimation. Only for cotton shirts and especially for black shirts. On white shirts, I don't use it. Only on dark colored shirts do I use a lint brush. All right. So, if you struggle with placement for getting it straight, I like to take my shirts and fold it in half. If you have a bunch of shirts, you can fold them. You can press about like 3 or 4 shirts at a time to get that center line. So we're just going to put this here and we're going to press to get that line. This is not heavy enough, not enough pressure for HTV. So before I can do the printed line, I need to get my right pressure with it flat. Okay. That made a big difference in that being loose. So we're going to take that. Oh, way too much. All right. I'm trying to get to the 4, which the 3 is fine. All right, so we should be good there. But by me doing that, I've lost my center line. So now I'm going to fold in half. You should always set your pressure for your shirts flat before you do your center line. So make sure that your armpits are lined up. Make sure your shoulders are lined up, that it's nice and smooth. Then you're going to just press that for a few seconds. You want to make sure that you go up high enough so that you can see the top of like that top line when you put your transfer down. Hello, welcome. Thank you guys so very much for double tapping the screen. It is greatly appreciated. All right. When I have transfers, I try my best not to do these weird cuts and you're cutting like that. That is the easiest way to F up your alignment, is to cut and like cutting it contoured to your design, unless you're really going to contour it. I like to try and make sure that my cuts are as straight and my lines are as straight as possible when I'm doing transfers, whether it's sublimation, eco solvent, or whatever. I try to make sure that those lines are as straight as possible. Using a paper cutter is of course is always going to give you a much straighter line, because I definitely I tilted on that one, but at least it's still straight. When you have all of those jagged and weird lines, it's like it can play tricks on your eyes. So my next tip would be make sure that your design is kind of squared off. Then we're going to fold this in half, making sure that the ends of the design meets, and I crease it at the top and at the bottom, okay? Because I'm going to use that to line it up. If you have that line lined up with the crease on the top and then whatever on the bottom, you know that it's going to be nice and square, because if not, like if it was tilted, those lines would not line up. So if you're not great at eyeballing, do that, and you want it to line up there and line up there, and also how you'll know it's square, no matter if you cut it all weird or not. Oh, I hate PU. Goodness, I can't stand this vinyl. Gotta get rid of all this mess that I purchased. I hate this vinyl. I would never use this if I had like a bunch of orders to do. I would never use PU. I hate this stuff. I gotta be super, super, super careful. It's thinner than the color print easy, but it's more of a pain in the ASS to mask it and weed it. And it doesn't matter how well you burnish this. This is just what happens with this crazy stuff. And then I never understand what the heck is this that always comes off the back if I'm supposed to leave that off. I mean, I've never had an issue with it coming off. Like if in some spots it comes off and some spots it doesn't. But it's always so weird because it's like a film on the back and it peels off of certain letters. It's not always all of them. So then you just have to make sure that, look at this darn D. You just got to make sure that it's not on, like in between the letters, because it will adhere to your shirt and it will look like a boo-boo. It needs to be either on or off, but you can't have it in the middle of the letters because you will see it. Yeah, I don't understand what the heck it is with this PU and this stuff that comes off of it. But like I said, it never really affects how it presses or the longevity of it. I don't know what that film is on the back. But sometimes I peel it off, sometimes I leave it on. As long as it's not bunched up. Come on. I still got fans to finish because they have to go in the mail tomorrow. All right. There we go. Oh, come on. And it stretches easily. So you got to be very careful when you are pulling it up to reposition it because you don't want it to stretch out of place. Okay, there we go. I had to straighten out that D. All right. So with this, here is the center, and I have it kind of center of the design. All right. And then I can check this side I probably can go over a little. No, because if I go over, it's going to put more on this side. So this should be fine where it is. There we go. So that is, so it's the center of the design. Something like this, a lot of people may want to put this part here as the center because it's an opening. Don't do that. You're centering the design. So it might come in, like it should come in somewhere through here. And that's where I have this at. Question with the fan: what can be substituted with the laminate? Clear 651, but that's going to be a lot. That's going to be more expensive. Oh, the PU is just made differently than the color print. The color print is stiffer and it weeds much easier than the PU. So with this, we were talking about folding it in half. So with this one, he's kind of sort of center, but it's not really off of his back because I just put it in the middle. So this kind of like the center point is going up. It's actually a little bit off from the point there, but I'm talking about from top to bottom as far as how far down. So this is not 4 fingers down. This is probably 5 from the top because I centered the design part off of the center of chest to make sure that it doesn't sit like a rainbow above the chest. What is the max size they can print? It depends on the media that you use. It takes up to 20-inch media, but for certain things, like when it comes to HTV, most HTV is actually not 20 inches. It's only it's cut to like 19 3/4. So the max is like 18.3 or something like that. But on adhesive vinyl or paper, I'm able to do 18.9 inch width. And I don't really have, I'm not sure what the max length would be. I think someone said 10 feet or something like that. Why don't you brush your summation shirts? One, because the paper that I use less time. So it's 365 our summation paper, honestly speaking, summation paper. I press at 365 for 30 seconds. You get those blue squigglies when you are using way too much heat and pressing it for too long. And I also don't use the cotton-like shirts. I use polyester shirts that have like a semi-gloss to it. So they don't typically have a lot of those loose strings because of how it's woven together. But yes, I use less temp and time. Thank you. Yes, definitely like the video. Thank you so much for that. Does the ink scratch off easily? No. It's not meant to scratch off. I mean, with Eco Solvent, some of the major brands uses Eco Solvent ink. No, this is actually a small. So this would not, this is a small t-shirt. So what is center would be how, like, I could have made it to where that tiger was right on center by creating the design where he was on center, but then it would have affected like how much of the other letters he covered up. Because this is flat and then how this is. So If I would have moved it over because of where center was, it's like over on this way. No, wait, I forgot which way it was. If I moved it, it probably would have been too much on the E. So it just really depends on how you set the design up. I know one thing that I don't like. I don't know why this black don't look black to me. But here is the finished shirt. So see, it's going to sit by bringing it down some. It's going to sit lower. It's not going to be a rainbow over the boobs. It's going to sit center mass. In person, it doesn't look black. So I have this up at my shoulders. And so see, it's here and it's not sitting like a rainbow over my boobs. Any questions before I get off? I got to go deliver this shirt and then I got to come back to finish these bands. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody's comment was filtered. So maybe if it was a legitimate question or comment, I would recommend retyping it. But someone's comment was filtered. And I think I'm done with the heat press. So we're going to turn you off. You'll see your photos? No. No, I didn't see it. I got to go look at it. All right, y'all. I am out of here. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace. Oh, yeah, the folded bag is one of my faves that I found out from Angela Jasmina. All right, y'all. Until next time, have a great one. Peace.